Leading up to VCT Masters Valorant, it was expected that one or possibly two teams would contend for the title. Stick around to find out what happened at the tournament on this Webisode edition of Unpeeled. It felt like the storylines were already written, but after weeks of in-person play at the VCT Masters Tournament, it turned out to be more impactful than anyone could have imagined. Our esports reporter Lucas Vogel is here to break down the tournament. Welcome, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Ella.
Of course. So, how big of a deal is it that the Sentinels lost in the quarterfinals of this tournament?
Well, it's hard to explain. Valorant is such an early game in its development in its esports stage that Sentinels have really been the only great team that we've seen. Sentinels have been setting the norm in terms of what greatness has looked like with players like Shazam, Sick, Zoms, Dapper, Tens. These are names that ring out in the scene. They've won the first international tournament on LAN after all the online play, and they looked like by far and away the best team. So to see them fall in such an early stage, with that being the quarterfinals, it's kind of unbelievable to think about, especially when so many analysts, had them as their number one seed going into the tournament, and they were expected to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and with this early loss, do you think that it could mean that the era of the Sentinels is over?
Well, era is a difficult word. It's such an early time for Valorant, but that being said, in their short time that they've had, it might be it. A lot of people are talking about the stellar play of certain players, but a lot of the play of some Sentinels players, talk about Zoms, you want to talk about Dapper, might be going down. They didn't really carry their weight in the tournament. It's definitely something to look forward to for further tournaments to see if they can continue to push themselves because they've already won once. It's always hard to win twice.
Definitely. And I mean, Gambit rose to the occasion and was able to take back an S-tier tournament for EU and defeating NA Hopefullys like Envy in the finals. Are Gambit legit, or was this just lucky for them?
It's hard to tell, I'll be honest. Like I said, it's such an early tournament in the career of Valorant. That being said, it's obvious that this was a fantastic victory for EU after, as I talked about, Sentinels dominating NA, dominating worldwide. This is North America dominance showing its way. And for Gambit to be able to steal that back for Russia, for EU, stellar play from Chronicle, Shadows, Nats, Redgar, don't want to forget about Defo. All those players really stepped up. They carried their weight. I don't think there's anyone that can say that Gambit didn't earn it. They barely dropped any maps throughout the entire tournament, and they looked very convincing in their win against Envy. I gotta say, Gambit might be legit.
Love that. And with Valorant champions on the horizon for November 29th, what teams are you personally looking at?
Well, I'm looking at Sentinels, I'm looking at Gambit, looking at Envy, all these teams that made so much noise in VCT Masters. That being said, you got to keep an eye on 100 Thieves. They still have to play through the last chance to qualify. So all these other teams already qualified. They already feel comfortable kind of, setting their rosters, playing around with their changes. That being said, 100 Thieves still have to qualify. Hiko's team, 100 Thieves, that he built from the ground up. A lot of former CSGO players with Nitro, Steel, Ethan. This is the team that a lot of people, when Valorant started, expected to be this, this grandiose team that had all these big former names getting into it. Kind of like if Tom Brady went from the NFL to the XFL. Everyone would say, oh my goodness, this team's going to dominate. But 100 Thieves haven't really done that, and they find themselves in this last bracket to qualify. It's really not where they wanted to be. So keep an eye on 100 Thieves. If they can pick it up, start to build some momentum, and qualify, I've got 100 Thieves making some upsets in the Worlds.
Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Lucas, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this Webisode edition of Unpeeled. Be sure to tune into our full live episode on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. for more entertainment news. See you next time, Unpeelers.